Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 112 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. A very action-packed Spanish Grand Prix with a bit of a recovery drive, really. Hoping we don't have to make a similar recovery here at Monaco, because that would be pretty hard to do anyway, because Monaco on the F1 2019 game is a pretty hard place to pass, even with some dive bombs and a half. The AI love to get their elbows out and get very wide around the Principality, but it's always a great place to come. Of course, the most important qualifying of the entire season. But in terms of how we look coming into this race then, off the back of the Spanish Grand Prix, Verstappen took the lead of the Drivers' Championship there. We find ourselves in second place with Lucas Weber in third, but it's seeming like already kind of early doors it's going to be a three-horse race between us three. Obviously, we'll see, because the consistency can always end later in the season, but for now, you know, Verstappen especially, I mean, you can see he's never been off the podium, whereas myself and Weber have, so he really is being the most consistent man of all, really, even though it seemed like Weber's been in a world of his own. Verstappen actually has been kind of silent and just doing the job there, and not being off the podium pays dividends, obviously, so he's in the lead for a reason. So we go to qualify, and then hopefully both myself and Weber can do well. Of course, it's going to be very important, because it's going to be so difficult to do anything in the race, especially with maxed out cars at Monaco. It's even more difficult to do something than it was back in like seasons 1 and 2, because the tyre wear levels aren't the same, so the strategy is going to be a bulletproof, guaranteed one stop, and also because the cars are going so much faster through the corners, it's that much harder to make a difference in a brake zone per se to get a move done. A la kind of, you know, the Raskas dive bombs are becoming less and less and less as we've gone through this career mode, say. So with that, an even more important Saturday at Monaco, let's go and see how we do over one lap.
We're here at the magical Circuit de Monaco for one of the most challenging qualifying sessions on the Formula One calendar. Who can add their name to the illustrious list of Monte Carlo pole sitters here today? It always looked like the kind of track that asks an awful lot of the rear tyres, such as the frequency of low-speed exits.
No matter how good a driver is at managing their throttle application to limit rear slip, they can't always overcome a car that's inherently bad at looking after its rear tyres. Here we have a lot of low-speed corner exits, which means a whole load of energy, heat and tyre wear.
Alright, so here we are then readying ourselves for our first flying lap here around Monaco. We're going to get 2 runs done here due to the kind of traffic nature. I don't want to kind of get lumped in with a load of people on track, so I've kind of gone a little bit out of sync with everyone else to make sure I have a clean run on the circuit, which means we'll only have 2 runs. I believe Lucas Weber, my teammate, is doing the same thing as well, though, so it kind of works in tandem quite nicely. It's kind of almost like a Renault strategy, although the AI, I'm pretty sure, did not think the same thing as me. But we swing through, then you can see the track is completely empty as everyone is actually in the pit lane, so we time this to perfection in terms of our run. The lap hasn't been amazing, though, I've got to say. You can see a few lockups there, and generally in sectors 1 and 2 there was quite a fair bit of understeer that I felt with the car, which I didn't really expect to find at Monaco since we're on 11 wings, and we come across the line only in P7. At this stage of the session, Weber is down in P12, so both of us Renaults have to do a lot better in the second run there, and you can see the tail is still squirming about. So for some reason, even though we've got max downforce, and we've seen so far this season the Renault has been very good mid-corner, very strong in the turn-in. At Monaco, on the edge here, on the limit, it just didn't seem to have the same confidence I had on previous circuits. But saying that, though, we do go faster, so it's that kind of classic F1 driver trope. You can complain about how the car feels, and then yet you go ahead and bang some good lap times. So you can see here, we've gone green first sector, purple second sector. The car still didn't feel great, but it doesn't matter if the lap time's there. And so we come across the line. It is going to be provisional pole position ahead of Devon Butler and Norris, but Lucas Weber yet to set his lap time, and the same with Verstappen. As we come across to the end of the session, Lucas Weber unfortunately nabs the pole position away from us there, but it's a 1-2 for Renault F1 at the Monaco Grand Prix. Verstappen will be very disappointed with the P10 there, the championship leader just inside the top 10, so he will have to start on that set of soft tyres, so he can't even do anything clever on the tyre strategy there. But marvellous stuff to see, a 1-2 for Renault, but look how close that was. Literally, what's that, 1,000th? Like, that's one lockup maybe, or the last corner, maybe a little bit of a rear end stepped out a little bit too much, and that was the difference between myself and Weber, or potentially, you know, somewhere like turn 1 or the hairpin, you know, anywhere that one little thousandth could have been found. So it's great to see, but also very annoying that I don't think I've ever got a pole at Monaco on this game yet in the career mode there, and it will still keep on waiting for at least one more season then from season 6. But from second place, of course, we've got a nice open open run to turn 1, the potential to maybe overtake Weber into turn 1, which could be quite crucial for the entire race outcome, to be honest. Let's be real with the kind of overtaking or lack of overtaking at Monaco. So let's go to the grids and see how we do.
Take a deep breath and enjoy the moment. It's a very special time of the season once again, as we prepare for racing here this afternoon. There's no better test of driver, no more prestigious race to win, no bigger an occasion than the Monaco Grand Prix. The astonishing Circuit de Monaco is, for all intents and purposes, virtually unchanged since its inaugural race back in 1929. The faster cars of today, though, ensure the 19 corners past the casino and along the seafront remain as thrilling as ever. A 2.1 mile lap here takes us around an entire country, yet never more than inches from the race-ending barriers. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Can I get your take on Ferrari? They haven't had any retirements in the last 5 races. What do you think that says about the reliability of their car?
It's a good statistic for sure, as it demonstrates not only mechanical reliability, but consistency from both drivers as well. These are 2 of the first boxes you have to tick for any successful season.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Great work from Lucas Weber yesterday sees him start from pole, and the engineer completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Butler, Leclerc, Lando Norris, and Hamilton, Ricciardo, Gasly, Verstappen, and Lance Stroll, Fiat, Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel, and Perez. Bottas, Russell, Kevin Magnussen, and Nico Hülkenberg. Giovinazzi and Romain Grosjean sits at the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So we're on the left-hand side of the grid, so any move into turn 1 will be on the outside there, which will be quite hairy because the wall obviously is very inviting on the left and Weber could squeeze us out into that wall. We did come towards a little bit of Baku with being squeezed into a wall there, so let's hope for not a repeat in that kind of sense. Strategy-wise, like I said, it's a one-stop with these maxed-out tyre wear cars. We've got the soft tyre to the mediums. Fuel load-wise, we're going to go lower fuel. You can see the fuel load warning there as we're under-fueling the car, but we can easily pull that fuel back with the fuel efficiency of the engine. And also here at Monaco, if you're stuck behind a car, you want to go in lean mixture to try and save the engine overheating, so that's going to be very easy there. So there's nothing more to really discuss apart from going ahead now towards those 5 red lights to the Monaco Grand Prix here in the Principality. It's an all Renault front row lockout for the grid. Here we go to 5 red lights, the Monaco Grand Prix, and we're underway, and it's initially a good stop, but then we bogged down massively. A great stop by Devin Butler. We're down to 3rd, round the outside we go, turn 1 to get back into 2nd there. We squirm away on the rear end then, just about control the car and keep it going in a straight line there. Braze the wall that was on the left hand side, so a scary moment on the opening lap there as we lost 2nd place, got it back, but Lucas Weber had a very easy time and he leads the Monaco Grand Prix, but it's once again a 1-2 for Renault, but that could have been quite bad because Butler got a great run. He almost made a dive bomb on Weber to the inside into turn 1, and if he did that, there would have been game over in terms of that P2 there. Would have been quite difficult to maybe pass, and I imagine it's going to be very difficult to pass this entire Grand Prix, so that's why I'm emphasising that's actually quite a miracle that we managed to pull that back through into P2, because this is going to be pretty much all race now, stirring the back of this rear wing with the Renault on the rear wing flap there and the Lucas Weber tag on the top there as we're now running 1-2. Weber the fast lap of the Grand Prix. I'm catching up and we're keeping up with him, and you can see on the minimap there the gap is already growing to P3 Devin Butler. So once again in Season 6 in the Grand Prix, it might be just Renault v Renault as we're in a world of our own, already building that gap there, and it may be a battle of attrition per se, or maybe that battle of the pit stops. So you can see behind us we've got Butler in 3rd place, Leclerc in the Haas in his new Season 6 car doing a great job his home Grand Prix, then Lando Norris, and then the likes of the 2 Mercs, and then Max Verstappen behind. But the bigger the gap gets to that pack, the greater the chance that we actually pit in and quite awkwardly come out in the middle of a load of traffic, because we've got such a gap, and then we pit and we're kind of out of sync with where everyone else is on this circuit. You can see that's very much the case in terms of me pushing on Weber. We set the fast up the Grand Prix, then lap number 4, but Weber still maintains the gap, just showing that he's pretty much only maybe 1/10 lower than that purple lap time I've set. So we're really pushing each other on and keeping each other honest, but at the moment just unable to make any kind of pass. You can see that I had a little look on the outside into Raskas there, practically pushing Weber through the last few corners there, but alas, couldn't make the move. DRS open there, but it's going to be no use into turn turn one, there's going to be not enough room to make a dive. We're not close enough to make a dive. So very frustrating times at the moment here at the Monaco GP now as we move into lap number 5 and 6. Basically just... yeah, it's a bit of a tough time, really. Behind us, Butler in third place. Like I said, then you've got the likes of Leclerc, Norris, the 2 Mercedes cars, and there is Max Verstappen there, the championship leader, quite some way away from us there. So at least that's one thing. No matter what happens, we'll gain some decent points on Max Verstappen, but it's going to be a case of we're going to lose out to WEBER as we're now at the end of lap number 5. Now the red times are coming in as the kind of dirtier and tyre wear kicks in a little bit, and the tyres, I've got to say, the tyres are a massive issue here around here when you're behind a car and you're pushing this hard, and if you're me and you lock up a lot around Monaco despite being on a bit of a lower brake bias, because the tyres, the internal carcass temperature just gets cooked so much and it makes it so much more awkward to play around with the car. You turn and you feel like there's a wake of understeer because the tyre just doesn't want to respond, and then you've got to try and go more aggressive then to counteract that and kind of get the nose in, and that in turn makes the other tyre on the other side of the car heat up more. So it is kind of a double-edged sword in that kind of sense. You can see I'm just getting very frustrated, getting so close to WEBER's rear end every single brake zone, but we just can't make anything work because he's going to, obviously get the elbows out even if I did make a dive bomb, let alone being close enough to make that dive bomb. So it's just a case of sitting tight maybe and waiting for the pit stop potentially. But if I could make a move in this opening stint, I would love to, because if we can try and back him up then and try and get a gap for ourselves, get in that clean air, that would be way more ideal, I feel, than being stuck behind him and having to throw the dice and the gamble at the pit stop. As you can see there, my engineer asked me to pit later, which I don't know why he's doing. He's basically looking to screw me over there with that call, because no, there's definitely no way I'm going to pit before after WEBER. I want to pit before WEBER, get an undercut going. Yes, I may hit a bit of traffic, but I think the tyre wear is so bad on this Renault and the tyres are acting so bad on the front end that an undercut will be basically miracles here in this Renault car at the Monaco GP. So we now swing through onto lap number 7. We get very, very close to WEBER. We have a little look on the outside there. Again, can't quite make it work. The inside classic, that infamous Raskas dive bomb. It's just not possible at all right now. I had a look on the outside, but that's even harder really to pull off at Raskas because the car on the inside is always going to squeeze you out on the outside there. So we keep going on, we keep chipping away, we keep piling this pressure on. But the entire time, Lucas WEBER has been an immovable object, as Claire likes to say in the interviews. But as we swing through the tunnel, I'm really getting a little bit agitated, a little bit impatient. I want to make a move. You can see the cars behind us. Butler is now not actually that far behind us. So the pack are actually closing up as WEBER hits some tyre wear, as do I. So we're slowly backing each other up there as we swing through the left there, very close to the wall. The rear end steps out, and this is bad. We've lost the rear end, and we're in the wall. And that is our Monaco Grand Prix over in a flash on lap number 8. Here's a replay. I think, there's sparks on the rear end there. I think we may have hit the wall tad, and we're in the wall. It's a very dramatic crash, actually. It's a slow one. It's a very kind of annoying slow one, the way we actually go slowly towards the wall. But then when we hit the wall, it's quite a great impact there as the car swings around, gets airborne a little bit, and the red ball comes in, and Butler is also out of the Grand Prix, I would assume, having hit me there. But that was such a frustrating moment there, because the actual crash itself, like I said, was so slow. It was just all in slow-mo, but there was nothing I could do. On board from Lucas WEBER, I don't think he sees anything or feels anything there. I didn't tap him at all or anything. It was just me losing the back end and also tapping the rear end on the wall, I think, as we're looking out at a chase cam shot. And here, we pause it. You can see there, I think I've started to break traction already a little bit on the rear end, but what doesn't help is the rear tyre is rotating as it hits the rear wall. I then snap to try and correct it, but of course you're going quite quickly still in that section, and the snap, I just can't hold the second snap then, and the car just slow-mo goes towards the wall. And there's Devin Butler out of the Grand Prix then hitting my rear end, so he's cleanly out, and Leclerc there gets off scot-free there as I think the yellow flags have come out, and it's actually a safety car that comes out there as we can confirm that on board with Lando Norris, the safety car's out. Unfortunately on this game, you can never watch what happens next, so I don't know how everything plays out, but the safety car may change things in the Grand Prix, but what won't change is we're out of the Grand Prix, and that is a DNF, 0 points out the Monaco Grand Prix. So in a big battle of, attrition and, the wits about you at Monaco versus WEBER, I've fair and square lost. I've been flustered, I've lost it, it's a big mistake, and he's won out,
McLaren have pulled it off. They've won in spectacular fashion here today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
So in the end, it's a shock win for Lando Norris of McLaren at the Monaco Grand Prix. I really expected Weber to pull that through and win that GP, but he's down to P3, so he must have hit some traffic, maybe the safety car. You saw there when the safety car was out on that last replay camera, his car was actually very close to the final two corners, so maybe he did not pit under the safety car and others did. So he finished up on the podium, so he does not go on to win the race, but he still obviously gets third place, 15 points over myself. Verstappen loses a lot of points to Weber, but obviously keeps points on me. So in the Drivers' Championship then, Verstappen still leads the way, 5 points to Weber in second place, and we're down now by 16 points, which seems like a massive gap really in context of how close the battle's so far been between myself, Weber, and Verstappen. Constructors, thankfully myself and Weber have been so consistent and so strong as a pairing that we're not trouble there in that kind of regard. But the Drivers' Championship already, that's a massive knock for me, because if it continues to be this close as it has been for the first 5 races before this Grand Prix, then having a DNF like this is quite massive. That's a lot of points. I mean, I would have preferred to even just finish up in, P10 and 9 and get 1 or 2 points, because that could be the final decider in this season. You never know. I know it's so early to say that, but you just really can't call it. So that might be a massive point of this season. I mean, it might be a massive point for me versus Weber, because, already we've gone toe-to-toe with him. He's had a sufficient battle against me and come back at me. He's won more races than me so far this season. And now, in, the biggest pressure kind of situation of Monaco, I've cracked, I've made the mistake, he's not, and he's won out there in terms of the teammate battle. It's the first time really on this game ever that a teammate is looking so strong against me at the start of a season, and for the sake of the series, I guess, and you guys at home watching, I guess you'll be hoping it continues like that. For my sake, I'm hoping that I can maybe try and win over on Weber next time out is the Canadian GP. It's one of my favourite circuits on the calendar in F1 game history, period, so I'm hoping I can come back flying and punching back at Weber and Verstappen. But guys, that is the end then of the Monaco Grand Prix. Quite a shock, I'm sure. But guys, if you did enjoy it, be sure to smash the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys do enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.